Today on the CTV News at 5, Alberta's health minister blasts the AHS board for handing out bonuses. Plus, a Lethbridge pharmacist is charged with stealing narcotics. And dozens of Canadian deaths linked to birth control pills.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. The Alberta Cabinet is asking Alberta Health Services to rethink executive bonuses. Health Minister Fred Horne says at a time when doctors and nurses are being asked to hold the line, the details were unveiled in Lethbridge, where Premier Alison Redford and members of Cabinet are holding a two-day retreat. Terry Boat reports.
So in this lab here, we teach a multi-process welding operation.
It started with a photo op. Premier Redford stopping in to visit some of the welding students at the Lethbridge College Trades Wing. But it soon became clear that Cabinet was dealing with other burning issues at its Lethbridge retreat and torching Alberta Health Services' decision to pay executive bonuses at a time when frontline staff and other agencies are being asked to hold the line.
I have taken the step today of issuing a directive to Alberta Health Services requesting that they revisit this decision.
But Health Minister Fred Horne didn't stop there. He also announced the government would begin an immediate review of governance to ensure Albertans can have trust and confidence in decisions being made by boards and commissions. And they would start with Alberta Health Services.
We're going to be undertaking a review of the structure of the delivery system over the next couple of months. We're not out to destabilize the system and to massively reinvent it, but we are asking ourselves some serious questions about whether we have things structured appropriately in a way that benefits patients and supports those who deliver care.
And our direction is very clear. We will continue to ensure the government, our agencies, our boards and our commissions live within their means, just as government does, just as we want to ensure that we fulfill our mandate from the people of Alberta.
Well, much of the day was spent in closed-door meetings. The opportunity to host the Premier and Cabinet has also been a chance for Lethbridge College to show off its facilities and talk about the future. The college is currently hosting a reception for members of the Alberta Cabinet. One of the issues they'll be talking about is the Trades Technology Renewal Project, a project the province has committed $18 million to over the next few years.
The funding cuts from an operating perspective are absolutely difficult, but the longer term for us is about how we can meet needs in the region, and that means really getting a new trade facility.
The Premier and Cabinet will continue their meetings in Lethbridge tomorrow. Terry Boat, CTV News, Lethbridge.
While the Tory caucus is meeting in Lethbridge, high school students in Edmonton are protesting education cuts at the legislature.
You realize we have to make ourselves heard as students.
Hundreds of high school students skipped class today and gathered at the steps of the ledge. The protest over education cuts was organized by a few teen activists with the help of some labor unions. Now they started arriving around 11 a.m. armed with signs like phrases with "no funds, no future." The walkout started gaining momentum on social media and prompted the Education Edmonton Public School Board to post a warning on its webpage that it doesn't support the movement. However, it clearly didn't deter the students. Okay, Dory, still a few unsettled days ahead.
Yeah, we do, Jackie. We've got a couple of systems that we're watching. One's to the west, one's to the south, and one's to the north. All low pressure centers, not really strong individually, but combined, they are fairly active. So we are looking at that continuing instability until we head into the weekend, and then things seem to quiet down nicely. I'll have all the details coming up in a couple of minutes.
All right, thanks, Dory. A Southern Alberta pharmacist has been charged with stealing narcotics from a Safeway pharmacy in Lethbridge. The charges were laid after an internal investigation at the Fairway Plaza Safeway uncovered inventory discrepancies. Police allege between December of 2012 and March of this year, one of the pharmacists created fraudulent computer records and stole a quantity of hydromorph cotton for personal use. 50-year-old Marvin Leonard Johnson of Raymond is facing charges of forgery, possession of a controlled substance, fraud under $5,000, and theft over $5,000.
At this point in time, it's believed that Mr. Johnson was using all stolen narcotics for personal use. It is not alleged that any of these narcotics were trafficked beyond his possession. The drug in question is hydromorphcontin, which is an opiate family drug, narcotic pain reliever, basically for chronic severe pain. It's part of the same family with morphine, methadone, Percocets, OxyContin, those regular drugs of choice that you see, the prescription drugs at the street level.
Johnson was the manager of the pharmacy. He has since been fired. The Alberta and College of Pharmacists has been notified of the charges. Well, here's a story for teenagers everywhere. A teenage Calgary boy is now facing serious criminal charges for sending a girl explicit text messages. The teenage girl who received the messages is just 14. The boy who sent them, 15. Police say the pair were in a relationship but broke up several months ago. The girl got a barrage of messages last month, all on the same day and all from the same number. She got scared and told a school resource officer who contacted police about the text messages. Today they announced the boy, who only sent words, not pictures, is charged with criminal harassment and making child pornography.
There is a belief out there, probably by society, that there's a veil of anonymity on the internet, and that just is not the case. Everything you do on the internet leaves a footprint, and my unit in particular is quite skilled at figuring out who did what and where and when.
Meanwhile, the desperate search continues for two missing men in the East Kootenay. Stephen Thompson and Nicholas Huffnagels were camping with friends near Canal Flats over the weekend. Thompson lived in the area. Huffnagels is from Cochrane. The 18-year-old and 21-year-old were headed into town on Saturday afternoon, and they haven't been seen since. Search and rescue did find a spot where a vehicle went off the road in the area and then rolled down a steep embankment. Items belonging to the men were found at the bottom, but there's no other sign of them or their red truck. It's near a fast-moving river, and with the spring runoff, it's just too dangerous to send in a dive team. An RCMP helicopter spent a second day today searching the area. It was a year ago today a Medicine Hat nursing student disappeared. Although a man has been charged in her death, her body has never been found. 23-year-old Amy Lewis was last seen on June 11th. Police found her car a couple of days later in a Medicine Hat motel parking lot. 34-year-old Jarison Stepanski of Medicine Hat has been charged with second-degree murder in connection with her disappearance. Police say they have evidence that Lewis is deceased, but despite a massive search, her body's never been found. Stepanski is currently in jail awaiting for trial that's scheduled for February of 2014. The Lewis family is honoring Amy today by spending time together. Two Lethbridge men charged with murder will not stand trial in February as originally planned. The body of 58-year-old George Spann was discovered in his Northside home in mid-January. Police say he'd been stabbed to death. The stabbing is believed to be drug-related. 37-year-old Michael Mitchell and 21-year-old Addison Wakefield are each charged with second-degree murder. They have elected trial by judge and jury. That was scheduled to start February 24th, but it's now been pushed back to start March 24th. Police say two people are facing charges after a pair of would-be thieves tried to make off with a 60-inch television from Walmart. Officers say a female clerk asked to see a receipt as the pair were leaving the South Walmart, but a man slapped her hand away and continued on. Officers say they then resisted arrest. 33-year-old Jai Mikkel Trotter is charged with 2 counts of robbery, resisting arrest, and assault. 19-year-old Kayla Dawn Garreau is charged with robbery and assault with intent to resist arrest. Both made their first court appearance this morning. Well, the Lethbridge Regional Police Service got into the spirit of summer today to help out a good cause. The weather may have been a bit cooler, but the grill was hot inside the Lethbridge Police parking garage, where the men in blue hosted the public at a barbecue to help raise funds for Special Olympics. Every year, police hold the event to send athletes to compete, and last year, police raised over $1,000 and ran out of burgers. This year, their goal was to surpass that.
Biggest impact is that when you see an individual come out for the very first time, they're shy, they're not confident, and as they get more and more involved in participating in sport, whatever sport that may be, they become more and more confident, and just the whole experience that a lot of us sometimes take that for granted, they never have that opportunity. So that's why just their confidence grows. They become a very confident individual.
The tally from today's event won't be available until later this week. The Canadian government recently announced the closure of the Agriculture Canada research substations at 1-4 in Staveley, Alberta. We've got reaction to the news and what it'll all mean inside this week's episode of Farm.tv.
We spoke to Alberta Environment and Sustainment Resource Development Barry Adams about the Staveley substation.
This area was set aside in 1949. Land is owned by the province of Alberta, but it's been held by the Government of Canada and used as an agricultural research station since 1949.
What is the purpose of the Staveley substation?
Purpose of the original study that was done there, which was started by Dr. Alex Johnson from Ag Canada, famous range scientist. He undertook to study the concept of grassland carrying capacity. What stocking rate could be sustained over time? And so 4 grazing treatments were put in place starting in 1949, grazing at light, moderate, heavy, and very heavy. And throughout the intervening years, a whole variety of different studies have taken place there, documenting forage productivity, the effect of grazing on the vegetation and on the soils, and of course on livestock production as well.
Farm TV is brought to you by DA Building Systems.
Time now for the day's markets.